The Texas Lyceum, now 30 years strong and armed with the mission of identifying Texas's next generation of top leaders, hosted its day-long 25th annual public conference in downtown Austin. The topic? The future of public pension funds and why it matters to every Texan.
This topic was important to me because there's so much misinformation about public pensions out in the general public now, about the funding crisis.
Pensions matter. They're increasingly important not just to markets overall, but to funding for municipalities and governments and certainly corporations and the like. And I think the issues they're facing and how they resolve them will be critical to what markets do over the next decade.
Across the board, I think they've really compiled a great speaker list with a lot of different diverse backgrounds and experiences. So kind of looking forward to the whole thing.
So with an extra cup of coffee to keep their minds sharp, attendees settled into what promised to be an informative day.
Good morning and thanks for being here today. Welcome to the Texas Lyceum's Public Conference, the future of public pension funds and why it matters to every Texan.
Morning sessions offered a crash course on pension funds, helping participants understand the nature of these enormous pools of savings, some in the trillions, established to benefit the people we all depend on for vital services. People like police officers, firefighters, and teachers.
This is more than just a job. I mean, this is a duty that we have. It's not about what I want or what you want. It's not about my personal agenda or your personal agenda. This is about what is best for the millions of people that are in this system.
We serve over 1.3 million Texans. Those are the teachers, the people who serve in the cafeterias, bus drivers, everybody who is involved in the education of our students. So we're the 23rd largest investment portfolio in the world. And if you were to put us into perspective on a private basis, the Texas Teachers Pension Fund would be the second largest enterprise in Texas. The only larger one would be Exxon.
But as you may have heard in the news, pension funds around the world are in a dire situation.
I think we know more and less about our government today than we have ever before. I think that the access to information about government is greater, but the understanding is so much less. It's so complex, it's so complicated, and the suspicion in government is so much greater that people are concerned about where their money is going, whether they're actually people in the pension system or just people who are watching what's happening with the stewardship of public funds. I think people are really concerned about the way government is managing all of our business, and so people are paying much more attention these days.
Lyceum conferees also heard from New York Times reporter and author Roger Lowenstein, who has extensively covered the pension fund crisis and warned that in states like Illinois, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, elected officials unfortunately have overpromised and underpaid pension funds, creating a perfect liability storm and putting pension funds in the state they are in.
They're really in the state they're in because of the unique aspect of pension funds, which is pension promises, which is promises are made in 1 year to a group of public employees, firefighters, policemen, and so on, but the benefits aren't actually paid for many years later. So it gives elected office holders, legislatures, and so on, the ability to do something that's politically very satisfying, which is to grant higher benefits and in some cases to defer the actual funding of those plans till long after they're out of office to their successors or their successors, and that's created the problem of underfunding.
Fortunately, it appears Texas taxpayers are in better shape than most when it comes to pension fund obligations.
In fact, we just had a very interesting panel, and the conclusion is that Texas is doing very well, certainly by comparison to what we're seeing in other states.
Local plans, that's municipal plans, police, fire, utility districts, they're doing pretty good. They're doing well. Some of them are doing quite well, and some of them are having some difficulties in their funding area, but they're all being addressed. And I would say that there are no plans on the local level that come anywhere close to being classified as a crisis.
But despite what some see as a promising outlook, many pension funds still have a tough road ahead. Later in the day, attendees heard from policymakers and elected officials on the front line who want to protect public employees but are faced with tough budgetary decisions in a down economy.
I have 3 pension systems, and their projected underfunding is on the order of $2 billion. That is more than I spend annually in my general fund budget in the city of Houston. It's a very large amount. We owe our retirees a fair pension. You can argue a lot about what a fair pension is, but if we can work in a framework of goodwill and honesty, I think we can achieve something that doesn't make everybody happy, but gets us where we need to go.
In all, the day proved to be another Texas Lyceum success, leaving attendees clearly wiser about a not-so-simple public policy topic.
The speakers have been top-notch and tremendous, and I think what I learned most is we all read in the papers what problems the pension funds are facing, but I think what's really refreshing is that people are thinking about how to solve them.
And I found this to be on par, maybe even better than some of those meetings that I go to that are put on by national organizations that do multiple investment conferences a year.
If this is an indication of the momentum that the Lyceum has, next year will be even more fantastic.
Thanks. To find out more about the Texas Lyceum and future public conferences, visit www.texaslyceum.org.